Hi, grade threes. Okay, so today we're going to also be talking about tone color. Tone color. What does that mean? It has two different artistic words in it. It's a little weird, hey? We've got tone, which is kind of like the note that you hear when you're hearing music. And then you have color, which is like an art topic. I wonder how these two things relate. So we already talked about the instrument families. Do you guys remember what the instrument families are? We've got number 1, which is woodwinds. Good. What's another one? I'll say strings. What's another one? I'm going to say brass. And what's the last one? We got percussion. Yes, very good. And each of these instruments use different movements or different body parts of us to make the sound. So with percussion instruments, we are either hitting them or scraping them or shaking them to make different noises. With woodwinds, we are using our air primarily to give them their nice kind of airy and full, lovely sound, right? With strings, we could either strum them, or we could bow them, or we could pluck them as well to make different sounds. With brass, we also use our breath, but because it's made out of metal instead of wood, it makes a more like tinny and kind of like almost like war kind of sound, right? It's kind of like a trumpet. It's like right up in your face, right? It's a little bit different than like a flute, which is nice and high and lovely. So we were kind of already talking about tone color, just like without you guys really knowing about what tone color is. It's the different sounds that each instrument makes and how it sounds to you. So kind of like, let's see. So you know how your, like your teacher speaks, okay? Like how I speak. How I speak sounds very, very different to how you speak. And the way that you speak sounds very different than, say, maybe your grandfather, or maybe your father, or maybe your mom, or maybe your grandmother, or maybe your aunt, or someone that you trust. Each person sounds different. And that's kind of the same with our instrument families. So each person of your family sounds different, and each person of our lovely instrument families also sounds different. But then why do we call it tone color? Now that's kind of because each sound that you hear can kind of be related to like a different color. So I don't know about you, you could have different ideas about this, but when I hear something that's kind of like warm and just like cozy and just kind of relaxing, I think of the color blue. Mainly like almost like a navy blue. And then when I hear something like bright and exciting and lovely and kind of like joyful, I think of the color orange. And when I think of something that's kind of like right up in my face and just kind of a little like, that's a lot, it's really loud, I think of the color red. And then when I hear something that is just kind of I think of the color gray because it's just kind of So that's why they call it tone color. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate this a little bit for you. So I have a different instrument from each of the instrument families. So I have this guy, which is a more traditional flute, okay? So this guy would be part of the woodwind family. I've got this guy, which again is like a traditional African drum, and it sounds like that. And this would be part of the percussion family. Then I have my tenor ukulele, which is part of the, what do you guys think? It would be part of the strings family. Yeah, because I am strumming the strings. Then I also have my lovely French horn. And this guy is our last family. He is from the brass family. And you guys can see he's made of metal, specifically brass. And he sounds wonderful. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean by tone color. Okay, so later, you are going to be hearing different instruments from each of these families. And you're going to be doing an activity with that. But just to kind of show tone color, each of these guys sound very, very, very different. Okay, so the French horn sounds like this. Now, while you're listening, I'm just going to play one note, okay? And while you're listening, I want you to kind of think of a color that you think would match this, and then maybe some descriptive words as well. So like, I don't know, it could be like warm and cozy, kind of like what I was doing beforehand, okay? So, here we go, ready? This is the French horn. It's part of the brass family, and I want you guys to tell me what color you hear. What tone color you hear. Ready? I love this instrument. I haven't played it in a very, very, very long time. But what colors do you guys think of when you hear the French horn? Cool. I think of almost like, I think of like a warm color, because I think it has a very warm sound. It sounds different than like a trumpet. A trumpet to me sounds very like, but a French horn has like a more like soft sound than a trumpet. And so I would say that the color that kind of works with this is either like a dark orange, or like maybe a dark green. And the kind of descriptive words that I think of when I hear the French horn is majestic and mighty and warm and kind of peaceful too. So yeah, that's the French horn. Now, when you hear this guy, my tenor ukulele, what kind of sounds or what kind of colors do you guys hear? Here we go. What do you guys think? What colors do you guys hear? And what descriptive words? So this instrument makes me feel super, super happy. And I would say that the color that matches it the most would be like a yellow, but like a golden yellow. I find that like my smaller ukuleles, they have a brighter sound. They have like a higher sound and a little bit more bright. I always think that those ukuleles kind of sound like a bright yellow, whereas this guy sounds more like a gold, kind of like that gold that you get like in the sunset. And I would say the descriptive words for this guy is, for me anyway, I would say kind of like more quiet than like the French horn. I would say that it's very full. I would say that it's very happy and pleasant, those kind of sounds. And again, I would kind of put it as like warm. I wouldn't necessarily put it as bright. Bright, I would say, is more so a descriptive word for like a flute. So I'm going to try. I'm not a flute player, and I'm going to try. This guy is kind of hard to play sometimes. So I want you to hear. It might take me a couple tries to get it. But I want you to hear the difference between this and those two instruments. Those two instruments are quite warm, okay? This guy is not so warm. Okay, so we'll see. What do you think? What kind of colors do you guys get from this guy? From the flute or woodwind family? For me, I would give this guy almost the same color as my shirt, actually. I find him kind of like, he's maybe a little bit airy, a little bit wispy, kind of like grass moving. And he kind of reminds me of like reeds whistling in the wind, kind of that kind of idea. And I would say the descriptive words, kind of like what I've already said, are, bright. I would say it's more bright, but maybe airy too. Has a little bit more air than the other two. Yeah, what other kind of words did you guys get? Did you guys come up with? I want to hear. Now this guy is our last family, and this guy is probably the brightest of them all, so far anyway. And I want you to just hear the difference between our other bright instrument and this instrument. Here we go, ready? So what would you call this guy? What kind of colors do you think would come with this guy or associated with that guy? For this one, I would put him at like a crimson, but like not like blood red, almost like a warmer red. And he's very, like, I would say he's not tinny, but he's very, very bright and kind of like up in your face and kind of abrasive, if you know what that means. That means that like it would wake you up if it came into your room. It's like right up in your face. Yeah, what other kind of descriptive words would you guys have for that instrument? I look forward to hearing it. So now your guys' task is to go and kind of do what we've been doing together. We're going to be doing some tone color things, okay? And this is just a very, very small activity. You guys will see in our like activity number 2 section, okay? There is a activity to do with tone color. So I want you guys to go there right now, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do the activity, okay? Take care, you guys.